I'm here today with Elori Saxl and Henry Solomon, who recently just dropped "Seeing Is Forgetting" on February 6th of last month, so almost a month ago. Uh, Elori and Henry, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing well. I had a concert last night that ended pretty late, so it's been a quick turnaround, but happy to be here.
Yeah, doing good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, yeah, let's just get right into it. Uh, so last album, from what I understand, mostly improvised work. Could you guys maybe like elaborate on that? Like what parts exactly were improvised? Was everything improvised, or had you guys kind of work off of each other while creating this album?
We had pretty much no discussion as to what we were gonna do. We just kind of sat down and like hit record and just started playing for a few hours, and then we did that over the course of 2 days, and then listened back like a year later, and we were like, "Oh, whoa, this is like really cool." And we also sort of felt like, um, a lot of the songs felt like we had written them, but they were not, obviously. So that was kind of like surprising and kind of cool. So then we met up again and kind of combed through it and picked our favorite parts out, and that's the album. So the whole thing's improvised. We didn't like splice anything together, really. I don't think. I think it's just like chunks of like the long improvisation.
Sick. So, how did this project first come together? I know you guys have been working together for quite a bit, but what was like oh, we should do this? And how long did it take you guys to really come up with the whole thing?
Yeah, basically, Henry had been playing on some music of mine for a couple of years in different forms. It's like sometimes I would have a score I was working on, and I would have him record some parts I'd written, or I would play a live show and I'd have him play on it. And the more times I did that, the more I would like leave these sections open for Henry to improvise on. And every time we'd get to that section, it would just be like by far the best part of the music, in my opinion. And I just felt like there's something really interesting here that we should explore more of, leaving these things open. And so one time, a couple of years ago, I was in LA playing a show, and Henry was playing on it with me, and we were just chatting, and we're like, do you want to just try tomorrow going into the studio and just messing around and improvising together, like with nothing. Actually, I had a little bit of a plan. So yeah, and it's actually in the recording. But it lasts for about 45 seconds, and then I'm just like, ah, f- this, and then we just start actually properly improvising, and it was just way better. And then I think maybe we thought we would like stop at some point and talk about it, or sort of figure out some plan, but we ended up just playing for about like 2 hours, and without stopping and without talking and without doing anything. And we stopped, and then we're sort of like, okay, wow, that was something. You want to go get some lunch? And then we basically did that the next day, played for another couple hours, and then called it. And then that's where the recording came from. And then we didn't look at those recordings for a while after that. And it was kind of only after going back that we were like even understood what kind of we had made. Yeah.
And from what I understand, you guys really only used three instruments: the Juno 106, a baritone sax, and a bass clarinet. So, uh, was there like a reason for instrument constriction, or was it more so just like a convenient sort of thing where, oh, this is what we have at our disposal, let's just mess around with this and see what we get?
I mean, I think, yeah, Ellery and I both play a bunch of different instruments, but we just, yeah, there was something about, I think, I mean, Ellery, correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, like, her sound is very, like, she has a real, like, clear kind of identity sound identity on the Juno specifically. And for me, like baritone saxophone and bass clarinet are kind of like my two like sort of primary instruments also. And so I don't think it was like pre-planned, but we definitely were in this mindset of like, let's just use these instruments, and it was almost like two voices. And we were toying with the idea of like overdubbing things, but then it kind of just felt way more raw and way more like kind of conversational to just have the whole album be just the two voices and not be this kind of layered like produced thing. Like it kind of just felt like, especially felt you could really hear our like musical dialogue more when it was just the two things as opposed to having like all these things happening. So
And you guys also recorded this quite a while ago, from what I understand. So, what was the reason you kind of held off on really touching it until more recently?
I mean, I think it's just we're just busy and we're both working on tons of music all the time, so we just kind of like recorded it and then we're like, okay, cool, like, and then we just both like went on to the next thing. And then was just digging through my hard drive and heard back the sessions, and I was like, yo, Elori, like you should listen to this, like we kind of snapped. Not really any reason other than that we just, and I actually think the fact that we weren't precious about it and weren't so like, oh my god, like this is like, it made it a lot easier to just kind of finish it and kind of keep moving with it, even though it ended up taking a while. But we also like weren't in a rush to do anything, so it was kind of just like this cool thing we recorded, and we weren't in a hurry to like really release it or do anything with it, and we just knew that we liked it, so that was kind of it.
What headspace were you guys in creatively before kind of like approaching this project?
Well, one thing I can say is, after Henry called and told me to listen to the tracks on the hard drive, and I started listening, and I was like, oh my god, this is like really, there's like something really special that's going on in these recordings. I would go to my studio the next day with the intention of working on a totally different project, and then I would be like, I'm just gonna like pull up those like tracks with Henry like real quick. I just kind of want to like check something, and then I would just end up like wanting to listen to it and edit it and like just like work on kind of tightening it up, and like I couldn't stop. And that same thing happened for like a couple weeks in a row, where like I would go to my studio with the intention of working on something else and then just be like pulled into this music or like drawn in, and it felt really like medicinal in this way, where like I don't know, I feel like it was like doing something to my brain to work on the music and to like spend time living in that world. And it was like had this kind of like addicting, like just like like pulling quality to it, where I just wanted to like keep being in that music.
Yeah, do you find yourself shifting nowadays more towards that style of music making, or are you still gonna kind of like go back to your roots in a way?
I think it's definitely opened something for me, and I think it will be a blend moving forward. I think there's definitely still a time and place and value of, carefully crafting things and being able to make big musical harmonic shifts that can really only happen through, sort of planning ahead for those things to happen. But it definitely, for me, I mean, this was like my first experience with improvisation with another person, like in this way. So it's definitely opened me up in a major way. And I think another thing that it's changed for me is just been a real lesson in sort of moving quickly while making music. And I think there can be a process after the fact of editing or mixing that can be a little bit more specific and thought out and take a bit more time. But I think there's something really important to making music quickly that I think sort of helps you tap into more like elemental musical ideas that feel a bit more universal and can help keep the music from getting too convoluted or melodies from getting too esoteric. So yeah, I think just I guess maybe more so than saying quickly, maybe I'll say like actually just working from a more intuitive place and just like, yeah, just not overthinking things too much.
Speaking of mixing and editing, I'm curious how you got David Darlington to work on this project.
I mean, I had, while we were kind of finishing the selection of like of this album, I had just produced an album for my friend Paul Cornish, and he's a pianist, and we had Dave Darlington mix and master it, because he's kind of just like a classic, like super goated OG jazz mixer. I mean, he has tons of credits all over the map, but he did an absolutely incredible job with Paul's album. And so I was just, I had just been talking to him about Paul's album, and I was like, honestly, maybe he would be down to do our album too. And so then he was, and he kind of killed it. So but yeah, he's awesome. Shout out Dave Darlington.
Yeah, I think too we talked a lot about different mixers, and you know, both Henry and I have worked with a lot of different people, but it felt like it was cooler. You know, we both work with a lot of people who are really young who mix a lot of really, really cool contemporary records with lots of crazy production stuff going on. I think we felt like there was something cool to working with Dave because it's such a like classic sound and really minimal what he's doing in terms of like he's not like shifting the sound a lot. It's more just sort of like making it three-dimensional. And it just felt like it was kind of like this cool like combination to make this record that is like a pretty contemporary sound, but then work with this like super sort of like legendary classic jazz mixer.
Yeah, so how did your creative relationship spark? Where did that start from?
It was back in 2020, and Elori just kind of randomly emailed me and was like, "Hey, I'm looking for someone to record this saxophone quartet piece." And everyone was like at home and inside, and I'd been doing a lot of recording at home, and so I like listened to the demo and like was looking at the score for Ellery's piece, and I was like, damn, this music is awesome, and like I totally would be down to record all the parts. So yeah, that's kind of how we met and started working together. And then like as things sort of came back in person, Ellery had just put out an album called The Blue of Distance and was doing some like live recordings and live things, and so I was playing clarinet with her for that. And then that just kind of started. We just, anytime we were like in the same place, we would just kind of like meet up and like do either record or like do something, or so
Okay. Cool. So how do you guys see like yourselves as these sort of change makers in the realm of like underground experimental composition, and how do you hope to kind of push that forward with future projects?
I mean, I don't think it. I don't know if I would call myself any of those things, but I think I am really interested in making beautiful and meaningful and moving music, and sometimes that actually feels um like the most punk rock thing you can do, to just try to make beautiful music, to not actually make music that's interesting or abrasive, but actually to just focus on vulnerability and honesty and having the guts to say I just like this, and not have some sort of cool production or ideas that you can sort of hide behind. So that's one thing. And I think also I think we both love a lot of different kinds of music, and I think one thing that comes through for me is I just love a hook, and I love a melody, and I love pop music for that reason, but that's something that's present in a lot of different kinds of music, and I feel like making this kind of music, I'm just trying to bring melodies and make it hooky, and that actually feels weirdly not that common in this type of music.
For sure. Yeah, I really think, what we're doing is not very, in a lot of ways it doesn't feel very contemporary, because it's literally just two people sitting together playing with no editing, or people have been doing that for thousands of years. And so I really think that is just, I feel like the world needs more of that, people just kind of, just having a dialogue musically without any bells and whistles and gimmicks or any tricks happening. It's so I mean, I feel like we're kind of just doing what people have always done, and so our favorite musicians have always done, and just have so much gratitude for everyone that's kind of paved the way for us and our respective influences, and the people that made us fall in love with music. I think just trying to keep that going forward for future generations. But yeah, I don't think there's anything really that groundbreaking about that sentiment. It's kind of just what keeps music going forward into the future. So yeah.
Do you guys have a specific, I guess, niche or genre that you would classify yourselves as, or do you prefer to just put it in looser terms?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of like when people just say a bunch of different things, oh, it's ambient. It's oh yeah, you and your jazz album, or some people just think it's electronic, totally electronic, and so I don't know. So it just feels it feels like everyone kind of has their own thing, and that's sort of fine with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you guys incorporate those elements when you're performing live? How does that collaboration come together when you're on stage?
Basically, we took the versions of the tracks that ended up on the album and used those as frameworks for the songs, and then improvise around it. So the thing we talked about when we were trying to figure out how to put the live show together was we want people, if you come to the show and you've listened to the record, when we play a song, we want you to be able to say oh, that's that song, and to recognize it. But then beyond that, it's kind of keeping it open so that we can respond to the energy in the room every night. And because the album was recorded in such a simple way with just these couple instruments and couple pedals, and there's really no production on the album that's happening outside of what we were doing live. It ends up when we play live sounding like remarkably similar to what it sounds like on the album in terms of like the effects that are going on, because that's all stuff that we're doing live with pedals.
Do you think you're gonna use more like electronic techniques in future projects, or maybe like going forward when you start performing new work?
Yeah, I mean, we've the last, since making this recording, we've had a couple more times where we've gotten together and recorded some stuff, and it's always just like, because Henry lives in LA and I live in New York, anytime we're together, it's because one of us is playing a show in the other place, and so we just have with us what we need for that show, and we're both working with like lots of different stuff for different kinds of shows, and so every time we've recorded since then, it's been different instrument setups, but just by sort of nature of like what's going on in the rest of our lives, which I think is kind of cool. So like there was one time where I was doing like a live score for a dance piece, and I was like using this like drum pad that I was triggering, and at the time Henry's baritone sax was needed to be fixed, and it was in the shop, so he just recorded on the soprano. So it's just like sort of fun to like let just the rest of life kind of dictate what we're gonna use. And then we did another thing, made some music for this mall in Orange County called Fashion Island. Asked us to play some music, and so we ended up writing like 2 hours of new music to soundtrack the mall. And I don't even know how we came to the idea, but we ended up using like some drum machines and different things that are like processing what both of us are doing. And yeah, I feel like we're both just like really open to whatever. I don't think we want to make another record that sounds the same, but I think we want it to like have the same, like the things that make this record special. I think we want those things to carry through, but yeah, I think we want it to sound different moving forward. And I think we have like a lot of ideas for what could happen next, but I don't know. I don't really foresee it being like, I think what we're enjoying about this project is like it just being two people in a room doing stuff live. So I don't really foresee it being like more post-production stuff happening, but I think definitely thinking about like different instrumentation setups going into it, or maybe adding a person or something. I don't know, but yeah, keeping it live, and yeah, conversation between the two of us.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, do you guys like see like more collaboration in the future, like opening the door to other people joining the project, or do you kind of want to keep this between the two of you?
I think we're definitely open to working with other people. I mean, we played a show once with a drummer and an upright bass player, that actually in New York like a couple of years ago, or maybe like a year ago, and that was honestly like really cool to have like someone playing drums and bass with us. It like totally changed kind of the thing, but it also kind of felt like it felt like we were just doing what we've been doing, but just with new voices, and so that was really cool. When we were in Copenhagen a few weeks ago, we played with the band that opened the show, which was Jay Ludwig and Xenia, what was it? Zemanek and Francesca. What was her last name? Buratelli. Yeah, 3 like super badass Danish musicians, and they played like a ridiculously fire opening set, and then at the end we all like played together and like improvised, and it was like really cool. So yeah, pretty much anytime we've done that with other people, we've been like, fuck, this is sick. Yeah. So anyways, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of buzz in Denmark right now, in Copenhagen. So that makes a lot of sense. So do you guys see yourselves like collaborating outside of the US then? Or like how would that work if you chose to go down that path?
I mean, yeah, definitely would go back there. Would go kind of anywhere to, you know, anywhere that wants to bring us out. We'll come. You know.
Yeah, how was the your guys' tour in the EU and UK?
It was really cool. It was 3 weeks, and we were really all over. And I think the cool thing about it was we just played so many different kinds of spaces. Like, we only really played one traditional, proper sort of club venue. Every other space was like a church from the 1600s, or this massive philharmonic concert hall, or this sort of glass crazy architectural space in northern Denmark, or we played like the lobby of a library. Like, it was just like every space was radically different. The audiences were all over. Like, you know, we played for young people. We also played for like pretty old people. And yeah, it was just cool because it seemed like the music resonated for everyone, maybe in different ways, but a lot of people seemed to get something from it. And when we started the tour, we hadn't even put the record out yet. So I think, you know, it was the very first time that anyone was hearing the music. And I think it was just like deeply relieving and comforting to just see that the music was hitting for people all over in different kinds of contexts. And and also just like feels like people are appreciating the kind of like space that we're bringing them into. And I feel really grateful that they're going there with us. You know, it's not like I think it's like pleasurable, but it's not like it's like a just like fun time. You know, it's like you definitely kind of go into like a deeper headspace. So I feel really grateful that people will like go there with us.
Do you guys have plans to maybe work on your own separate projects, or are you guys really focused right now on collaborating with each other?
Again, I mean, I think we're both working on tons of music all the time, so it's kind of just like both. Like, I think we definitely are working on individual things, and then also working on stuff together. So yeah, that was one of the things that about Elori that really inspired me, is that she's always working on like a million things, and I feel like I'm kind of the same way. So I was kind of like, oh yeah, this is like my type of person for sure.
It seems like really like sort of like obvious to say, but like Henry and I are both like obsessed with music. And I think it's really, we were just talking, like I feel like I've only recently understood how different the way that we're obsessed is than maybe other, like, I mean, I think a lot of people are obsessed, but like it's just like there's nothing, our brains will always just like want to be thinking about music. And like we spend time doing plenty of other things, but like it's like the thing we both want to do the most is to just be making music and thinking about music. So like, yeah, I think we've really connected on that. We're just like, we're just obsessed in a deep way.
Yeah. Do you guys have any projects currently working on you might want to shout out, or maybe give a little hint towards?
Well, okay, definitely look out for the Fashion Island album that will happen at some point. And then we also have the other album with the drum pad and the soprano saxophone is tentatively called Surf's Up. Yeah, so both of those might see the light of day at some point.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Ellery also just wrote a bunch of solo violin music and performed it last night at like a 4-hour laying down dinner and shrooms experience. So which is recorded. So Yeah.
Yeah, will that be released somewhere, or is that gonna stay in a vault?
I don't think Vault, but yeah, some version of that will definitely
Okay.
come out. I don't know if it'll be yeah, the what happened last night, but definitely that sound world is feeling interesting to me, and some version of it will, I think, come out eventually.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in and speaking with me. It's been a real pleasure talking to both of you, and everyone listening, go give a listen to their album "Seeing Is Forgetting," released last month. Great, fantastic album, available on SoundCloud as well. Maybe buy it and support the artist, and don't stream it on Spotify if you can. If you can afford it, that'd be great. Yeah, I hope both of you have an amazing, fantastic rest of your day. And yeah, again, thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tom.
Yep.